Hi guys, welcome to another short video where I'm going to walk you through some AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner questions. Hopefully this will give you an idea of sort of what thought process to go through while you're taking your exam and give you an idea of the type of questions you're going to see when you take your Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. So these are straight out of my practice test course where we've recently released a lot of new questions to make sure that we're totally up to date. So let's get started. So this question says, a cloud practitioner wants to build an application stack that will be highly elastic. What AWS services can be used that don't require you to make capacity decisions up front? So remember, one of the key advantages of the cloud is that with many services, you don't have to make any capacity decisions. So that means you can launch the service, and if your user base grows and the traffic on your application grows really quickly, then it will automatically scale. With other services, you do need to make some kind of capacity decision, and often that comes down to things like where you need to launch an EC2 instance. And EC2 instances are used by many higher level services as well as just launching an EC2 instance standalone. So one of the key things for the exam is you need to remember which services are based on EC2 instances. In other words, which services do you need to choose an EC2 instance type for when you launch it? So let's look through these services. The first one is AWS Lambda. So Lambda is a function service. So it's one where you run code as what's called a function. It's a serverless service, and it's probably the most well-known serverless service as well. And that just basically means you don't need to choose an EC2 instance type. You don't pay for one. You just pay for the amount of time your code is executing and the amount of memory allocated to your function. So Lambda is definitely a service you don't need to make a capacity decision up front. So I'm going to go straight ahead and select Lambda. Now EC2 you do, because you've got to choose your instance type. So therefore you have to make a decision as to which EC2 instance type you're going to use, and you're going to have to pay for that EC2 instance. So if you get it wrong and you find that your application doesn't have much traffic, then you've paid a bit more than you needed to. And conversely, if your application grows quickly, you need to scale it, so you might use auto scaling, for instance. The next service is Amazon S3, so that's the simple storage service, S3. And that's an object-based storage system. And what that means is you upload your objects, and an object can be like a file, like a video, can be a document, like a Word document, can be a photo, like a JPEG, and you upload those files as what are called objects. And they go straight onto S3 and they sit in what's called a bucket. So that's the container that you put them into. Now, the great thing about S3 is it's extremely scalable. So you don't have to make any capacity decisions. You just upload your data. You don't have to provision amount of space on S3. You just keep uploading your data and it keeps scaling for you. And they say it's virtually unlimited. So you don't ever have to worry about storage space on S3. So I'm quite happy with that being one of the answers. Let's choose S3. Next up, we've got the Amazon Relational Database Service, RDS. So with RDS, you do need to choose a EC2 instance type. So it is a managed service, but you still got to choose the instance type your database is going to run on. So I believe that's definitely a service that you do need to make a capacity decision on. And then lastly, we've got DynamoDB provision mode. Now with provision mode with DynamoDB, you actually specify an amount of what are called read capacity units and write capacity units. You're basically saying this is the performance I expect for my database, and then you pay for that. So you do need to make a capacity decision. So there's a few different options there. But again, read up on those, make sure you're fully aware of them, and there's no substitute for knowing the right answer. So if you absolutely know that S3 and Lambda do not require capacity decisions, then a little distractor like the provision mode down there shouldn't be too much of a difficulty for you. So let's click on check, and those are the correct answers. And let's move on to another question. This question asks, which service records API activity on your account and delivers log files to an S3 bucket? So we had a similar question in a previous video where we were looking at actions, and this is actions again. So it's about API activity because every action in AWS results in an API call. And that means that the application is actually calling the service and it's sending some data to it using HTTP. And that's how actions occur through those instructions that are in those URLs. So the question is, what service will record that activity? Now, again, you should start thinking about auditing here because we're talking about sort of recording what is happening. So who is doing what? So which user or service performed which action at what time? And that's an auditing service. And when you think auditing, you should always think CloudTrail. And when you think performance, you should think CloudWatch. So that's the distinction. And those two will often come in questions where you need to make that distinction between the two services. So again, I'm going to choose CloudTrail and I'm going to look at the other answers. So CloudWatch is about performance monitoring. And CloudWatch logs at the bottom there is about logging. So you're putting log information into the service that you can then read later on. So both of the CloudWatch answers are going to be incorrect. We've then got S3 event notifications. Well, S3 event notifications are where something happens in S3 and it notifies another service. So for example, you upload an object to an S3 bucket and then it notifies Lambda, and AWS Lambda might run a function to process an image maybe in that bucket. So S3 event notifications is not about recording API activity, it's about initiating events. So I'm happy with that answer. Let's click on check, and that's correct. So let's move on to the next question. An application stores images which will be retrieved infrequently but must be available for retrieval immediately. What is the most cost-effective storage option that meets these requirements? The interesting thing here is that I want to point out is that recently in the Cloud Practitioner exam, we've had more of this type of question. If you went back 6 months or a year, you'd find that pretty much every question was extremely short. It was just, what service is used for this purpose? And now they've actually started putting in some scenarios. Now, they're nothing like the difficulty of the associate level or the professional level scenarios, but they do put a bit more information in there. So you've got to have that critical thinking ability and be ready to process a bit more data. So let's look through this. The application is storing images, but they're not getting access very often. But when they do need to be accessed, they need to be available immediately. And we need to be cost effective. So those are the key things here. So infrequent access, but no delay, and then cost-effective storage. So that's really all they're asking. So you then need to understand the different tiers of storage that are available here. Now, 3 of them relate to S3, so Glacier is one of the S3 services. The other one is EFS, so I want to kind of rule that out first, because for me that's the easiest one on this page to actually rule out. So EFS is the Elastic File System. It's a service that gives you shared file systems that you can use with EC2. Now, it has lots of great features, but it's not as cost effective as the other options here. So you do need to have a basic understanding of how much things cost in AWS. Not to the dollar level, but just how they compare against each other. So I'm going to rule out EFS, and let's go and look at the others. So we've got Glacier with expedited retrievals. So Glacier is an archiving storage system, and that means it's really low cost. But there's a couple of options in how you retrieve data. So you can't just access it immediately. You can't just sort of see it in a bucket like you do with S3 and access that object. You actually have to create a retrieval job, and then you have to wait. Now, expedited means very fast. You pay a bit more for it, but it's fast, maybe a few minutes. But it's still not immediate. So if the application is trying to read that data immediately, you can't do that with Glacier. The next is S3 standard infrequent access. Well, the question is asking for cost-effective and data that needs to be retrieved infrequently. So this kind of fits the bill. Infrequent access is cheaper than standard. It's designed for when you don't access the data very often, but it is, just like S3, a way that you can access your data immediately. So you can still see it in the bucket. You just pay a lower cost for it. Now, you do pay a retrieval fee, so you've always got to account for that as well. So when you retrieve data with S3 standard infrequent access, you pay a retrieval fee, whereas with standard you don't. But then with standard you pay more, for the time that the data is stored there. So for me, that's the correct answer, infrequent access, because it's lower cost than standard. It still gives immediate access, and it's designed for infrequent storage. So I think that's the most cost-effective option. So let's choose check, and sure enough, that's the correct answer. And here is a table that shows you the different storage classes on S3. And so you can see some information here, like for instance, with the S3 standard infrequent access, which was the correct answer, you pay a retrieval fee for per gigabytes retrieved. And with standard, you don't. But the costs aren't on this page, but the costs are definitely lower. So that was definitely the good answer. I hope you enjoyed that, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.